Kazmi is serving as the director. Okay, I would like that. I mean, it's not like you need an introduction. Right. I would also invite the speakers for this session, Mr. Zawar Abidi, Dr. Saeed Javed Khurshid, and Ms. Maryam Siddiq Baba, to join the chair on the dais. Right. Brigadier Kazmi is serving as the director at the Arms Control and Disarmament Affairs branch at the SPD, and he has worked at the IISS as the Institute's Fellow for South Asian Strategic Affairs. Besides working on arms control and disarmament issues at SPD, he teaches and contributes various publications on these issues. So it's over to you, sir, and I would like to request the speakers to please keep their presentations limited to 15 minutes only because of shortage of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are already heading, in fact, we are quite late, and just a day before Ramzan, I won't stand between you and the lunch, but we'll try to wind up the session in time, and also bring out the crux or important points in these presentations. We have this very illustrious panel here of speakers who are going to share their expertise in three aspects. First, OPCW's international regulatory mechanism. So Abdi is going to speak about it. Then challenges and approaches of implementing chemical weapon convention in Pakistan. Javed Khurshid Saab is going to speak on this. And the outstanding issues of chemical weapon convention. Some of these things you have already heard in the seminar, but I think I'm quite sure that these worthy speakers will bring out more focus on these. And as already highlighted, I request all of you to please remain within time, perhaps even within 10 minutes, if you could just make your key points and leave the rest to the discussion, because there have been a lot of discussion on it already. So, Colonel Abidi is going to be the first speaker. As I said, he's going to talk about the regulatory mechanism of OPCW. He has just returned from United Nations Security Council in December 2017, where he was amongst the select group of experts in the committee which implements United Nations Security Council Resolution 1540. And he has been my predecessor at AGDA, where he used to live and breathe exports control, and he has a huge experience in this. Sir, so over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. In fact, first of all, let me say Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all the participants. I am really obliged and honored to having been invited by the Center for International Strategic Studies to speak on the topic which is not only relevant but very important in the present international peace and security environment. In fact, my job has become easy as well as difficult. Easy because whatever I had scribbled, most of it has already been mentioned, but difficult is because what to say and what not to say, to leave and scratch out or strike out the unnecessary or to avoid repetition. Before I go on to what I have to say as far as the regulatory framework is concerned, I'd like to make two comments on the previous session's questions. First of all, as far as the provision of a plant by India to Iraq is concerned, and the possibility of it being used by CISS, I think that possibility did not exist, or it did not happen that way, because Iraq did inform 1540 committee once they lost a university where there was a nuclear material which went into the control of CISS, and the Iraqi government physically didn't have any control over the material, so they informed the United Nations of that happening. So if the chemical or the chemical plant was not under the Iraqi control, they would have also informed. Moreover, there was no obligation at that point of time, because it only became an obligation on each state party that any violation of the chemical, especially the use of chemical weapon or the development by the non-state actors, only became an obligation in 2003 by UNSCR 2118, paragraph 14. The other point is that as the ISIS has shifted its base to Afghanistan, although Afghanistan is a state party, but as per the OPCW latest information which I have of December 2016, Afghanistan does not have a national implementation law. So you can make out as to what control the Afghanistan has on the possibilities or potentials of the ISIS. Some of my remarks would still be echoing what has already been mentioned earlier. The international regulatory framework with regard to chemical weapon convention is at two levels to my understanding. One is in the normal circumstances and the other is the special circumstances. The normal circumstances are taken care of by OPCW with their detailed monitoring and mechanism, which is highlighted in all the annexes which the CWC has. But the special circumstances mechanism is under the United Nations, of which 51 is the 1540 part of it, which have you already heard in the previous part of the seminar. The other is joint investigation mechanism. I will briefly touch upon that as far as the latest development on that is concerned. As far as this regulatory mechanism is concerned, it has a long history stretched over at least 3 centuries, because the first recorded agreement between the two states was in 1675, where they prohibited the use of the chemicals or the poison bullets this was the agreement between France and Germany, and which is known as Strasbourg Agreement of 1675. The next agreement was in 1874, after 200 years, and the third one, which came by the end of 19th century, which was earlier mentioned by Ambassador Naqvi, was in 1899, which was Hague Peace Conference. And the finding of the Hague Peace Conference led to the efforts of further institutionalizing or formalizing this international regulatory framework in the form of 1925 Geneva Protocol. Still, we see that the chemicals trend to the development and research in the chemicals continued even after the First World War, where the millions of people were casualties and even almost hundreds of thousands were the fatalities, because the Geneva Protocol only prohibited the use of the chemical and did not prohibit the research and development of the chemicals. And in that case, there was a lot of appetite for finding new chemicals such as nerve gases, which became one can say the favorite of the state then. The chemicals were used in that period, but during the Second World War, the chemicals were not used in the Europe itself, although it was anticipated that they would be used. The conclusion or the termination of the Second World War by the use of nuclear weapon reduced the importance of the chemical weapons, and then there was a lot of effort to meet the possibility or the threat of their proliferation, which resulted into the a kind of comprehensive ban on these weapons. New efforts were launched in the 18 Nations Disarmament Committee at the initiative of Sweden in 1968. Although the Biological Weapon Convention came much earlier, just within about 4 years' time, but the Chemical Weapon Convention took 25 years to be concluded, and that too because of the improved relation between the former Soviet Union and the United States. Chemical Weapon Convention is one of the three main pillars of the non-proliferation regime. It took the longest time to be agreed upon. It lays down basic obligation on the states in its Article 1, as in earlier mentioned, and then in Article 7, which requires the state to undertake necessary legislation to lay down similar obligations for its nationals. Hence, all nationals of the state party to the Chemical Weapon Convention and implementing it are prohibited to develop, produce, acquire, stockpile, retain, or use chemical weapons. Delivery means have also been identified by defining them in Article 2.1. Now, as far as the OPCW is concerned, which is the basic organization of primary organization to regulate the use of the chemical weapons, it is established under the convention and mandated by Article 8. All state parties of the convention are member of this organization. The Conference of the State Party, the Executive Council, and Technical Secretariat are the three main organs, or the basic organs, of the OPCW. The Conference of State Party is the principal organ, consisting of all members of the OPCW, and has the general powers to oversee the implementation of convention and to act in order to promote the objectives and purpose of the convention. The conference oversees the activities of the Executive Council and the Technical Secretariat and can issue guidelines in accordance with the convention in the exercise of their function. The specific activities are mentioned in paragraph 21 of Article 8. The conference takes decision or the question of procedures by a simple majority of members present and voting. Substantive decisions should, if possible, be taken by consensus. If the consensus is not achieved, the conference may take a decision by two-thirds majority of members present and voting. So far, majority of the actions or decisions taken by the OPCW are based on the consensus. The Executive Council is the executive organ of the organization and consists of 41 members who are elected by the conference to serve for 2 years. The convention requires that in order to ensure the council's effectiveness, it is constituted keeping in mind the principle of equitable geographical distribution, importance of the chemical industry, and political and security interest. The council is mandated to promote the effective implementation of and compliance with the convention. It is also required to supervise the activities of the Secretariat, to cooperate with the national authorities of each state party, to facilitate consultation with the cooperation among the state parties at their request. The detailed functions of the council are mentioned in paragraph 32 of Article 8. Technical Secretariat of the OPCW assists the conference of the state parties and the Executive Council in the performance of their functions. In addition to the normal responsibilities of the Secretariat of an international organization, OPCW Secretariat is given particular responsibility in line with the peculiar nature of the convention. Some of these responsibilities are carrying out the verification measures provided for the conventions, negotiating with the state parties, agreements relating to verification activities, coordinating the establishment and maintenance of permanent stockpiles of the emergency, and humanitarian assistance provided by the state party. And the details of these activities are at para 38 and 39 of Article 8. In addition to these three main organs, there are 4 subsidiary bodies which have been earlier highlighted. I will just mention about the fourth one, which is the Advisory Board on Education and Outreach. This advisory board was established consequent to the decision taken in 20th session of the Conference of the State Parties in December 2015. to provide specialized advice in area of education and outreach relevant to the organization's mandate. Now, talking about the regulatory framework under the special circumstances, I'll not talk about 1540. I'll only mention a few things about the joint investigation mechanism, which was constituted or established after the Syrian accession to the CWC in 2013 and after the adoption of Resolution 2118. In 2015, with the adoption of Resolution 2235 on 7th August, condemning the continued use of chemical weapons in Syria by both sides, this joint investigation mechanism was established, mandated by paragraph 5 to 14, which was to go and investigate and apportion the responsibility of the use of chemical weapons, and this mandate was for 1 year. The resolution also laid down terms of references and various timelines for the joint investigation mechanism. The mandate of the joint investigation mechanism was extended for another 1 year in November 2016. Joint investigation mechanism in 2 years' time has submitted 7 reports, which are basically not conclusive because they could not apportion the responsibility. The mandate of the joint investigation mechanism is finished on 17th November 2017 because the further extension of the mandate was blocked by Russia. Hence, this is so-called regulatory mechanism came to an end. Now, I'll only mention another thing about the OPCW challenges because that is the major theme or the topic or title of the seminar. OPCW has been making all out effort to enlist as many countries as possible as a state party. In April 2004, 161 countries were the state party to the convention, and by December 2016, with the addition of 31 countries, the number of the state parties raised to 192. Though CWC has almost achieved universality in terms of the members of the state party, number of the state parties, still, from the implementation point of view, it is only 61.45%. The reason is that out of 192, only 118 states have completed all initial measures, and 32 states have taken some initial measures, and still there are 42 states who do not have any implementation legislation. So therefore, there's a big challenge for OPCW Technical Secretariat to cooperate with the state parties in order to get the implementation law enacted so that the CWC can actually be implemented. Thank you.
So, this was Colonel Ardi.